Hey guys, Fleet Commander Nick here. We are here to talk about the Imperialis fleet. This is part of the Imperial Agents Codex. It's going to come out tomorrow on Saturday. The Imperial Agents include Deathwatch, Sisters of Battle, as well as some of the Grey Knights and the Imperial Assassins as well. So with this book, you've got a hodgepodge of different rules, different allies, rules that allow them to go into different Imperial armies. And for this video, this is going to be a strategy guide for the Imperialis fleet detachment, which is included in this book. So what this is going to be talking about the units. We're going to come up with my ideal list. I'll be explaining the strategy behind the Imperialis fleet, how to play it, tips and tricks, the rules. We're going to be talking about the points because we have points now. We have the full rules and points available for this army now. We will not be talking about the allies for other Imperial armies, like the usage for allies. We also won't be talking about the other detachments. So getting right into it, the Imperialis fleet represents the Imperial Navy version of the Imperium. This is like your going back kind of like to old 40K. It's your rogue traders, your inquisitors. You've got Inquisitor Kodz. You've got your witch hunters in here. You've got your Imperial agents, and then you also got your space cops like your Arbites, your breachers, and a bunch of hodgepodge of characters like assassins, Kyria Draxus, as well as some borrowed forces from the Grey Knights. Specifically, you get a squad of Grey Knight Terminators in here, which is pretty cool. You can also get a squad of Sisters of Battle, and they can ride in an Immolator, which is kind of a cool option. We got lots of not a lot of options, but a nice variety of options. Bring together data sheets from different armies. Moving into this book and actually having their own data sheet. Interestingly enough, so some of it is a duplicate data sheet with mostly the same rules, interestingly, but different points values, which creates a little bit of confusion. But it's not that bad because this book itself is pretty small and it's pretty limited. Interestingly, this is a standalone army. This Imperialis fleet detachment is classified as Imperial Agents now. So Imperial Agents is now a true standalone army, just as you would have with your Death Guard, or your Dark Angels or your Jakari. The Imperial Agents have come into their own, and with this book, they've taken some, I guess, design cues and aesthetic cues from the old 3.5 edition Demon Hunters Codex. This is so one thing I want to touch on here. I've been waiting for this book specifically to come out for 20 years. I initially played 40K with the Demon Hunters in 4th edition, which is it's a 3.5 4th edition. That was actually exactly 20 years ago. This year was when I first played 40K. So this is really coming full circle for me. I really highly enjoy that they've released this book. In a lot of ways, the rules are not very strong. You may not see them played a lot on the table as far as tournaments or events. However, I think in many ways it's great that they brought this back, and it brings a very cool flavor. It's a cool rule set, and the detachment I think actually brings a lot to the table. It brings a new play style with new models into the game, which is always a fun time. All right, so the Imperialis fleet. Looking at your detachment rule here, you've got at the start of your command phase, you can select one of the following to apply. So you choose your adventure here. You've got eliminate at all costs as the first one. Select one enemy unit on the battlefield until the start of your next command phase. Each time any model in your army targets that enemy unit, add +1 to the hit roll. This is okay. +1 to hit whatever army wide. This is kind of like a bad version of Oath of Moment. The second one you can choose at the start of your command phase is acquire at all costs. This is select one objective marker on the battlefield until the start of your next command phase. While a unit from your army is within range of that objective, improve your leadership by 1, your OC characteristic by 1, and then your unit also gains a 5 up invulnerable save. The whole unit. So this is actually very good. This leans into one of the strengths of the Imperialis fleet that we'll touch on in a second here. I'm gonna go through some of the strengths and weaknesses, so you can see my list design strategy and the decision making process that I've gone through for this guide. So going into the enhancements, we've got the digital weapons. Goes on any Imperial model. Each time the bearer is selected to fight, roll 3d6. For each 4-up, one enemy unit in engagement range suffers 1 mortal wound, and then mortal wounds inflicted by this enhancement are allocated as if they had the precision ability. So this is like a kind of like a mini grenade that has precision. This triggers on selected to fight, and I believe this is a 15-point enhancement. It's not great. It's okay. Unfortunately, there's a lot of assassins in this army, and there's also a lot of named characters, and 2 of the other enhancements are specifically better than this one, so this may not see a lot of play, but it is a good points filler. So I'm going to look at the two or three really good ones here. Clandestine Operation goes on a character. Basically, Agents of the Imperium just refers to anything. This is the army term. At the start of your declare battle formation step, you can select up to 3 Agents of the Imperium infantry units from your army, excluding Grey Knight Terminators. Those units gain the Infiltrator ability. This is auto include. This is really, really excellent. Looking at the points here, I believe we look at the points for these enhancements. The digital weapons is only 10 points, which is pretty nice. The clandestine operation is 15. The combat landers is 10, and the fleet master is 20. So these are all pointed. These are all pointed to move. Very, very well pointed, I would say. What this means is that you can actually, if you have an attached unit, you will have to declare each individual unit by themselves. Meaning, a prime target for this would be like a 10-man Deathwatch veterans unit, or even like a breacher with an entourage unit attached, something like that. You have to target each of these units in your roster individually, meaning that the attached characters don't ride along for free to gain infiltrate. This is still extremely good. It means that generally you're going to have a big old unit, probably a big Deathwatch unit, infiltrating way up the board. 10 Deathwatch they have Thunderhammers, they have frag cannons. You could have, I think you could send Kodiaz up there with them. You could send a Watchmaster, and then the prime target for this may be the Eversor Assassin, who's had a very big glow up in this book. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, this clandestine operation is going to be that's very, very bread and butter. Fleetmaster is another enhancement targeting the Voidfarers. Voidfarers are the I guess it's a term for the spacefaring components in this army. So it's going to be your Voidsmen. I think your Exaction Squad as well. I'll double check here if they have that keyword. Yeah, there's. Voidfarers, yeah. So it's Breachers, Voidfarers, Navigator as well. And then I think we had there's the Exaction Squad. Okay, so the RBDs in the Exaction Squad are not Voidfarers. So this is a little bit limited. I think the Entourage. Yeah, the Entourage is Voidfarers, and the agents are not. So this is going to be essentially Breachers, Entourage, and Voidsmen is what this can affect. The good news though is that the entourage is extremely good. So we'll get into that in a minute. Here's the entourage. These guys are 75 points, really, really good. All right. What this actually does is you can target them with Violent Acquisition, Masters of the Void, or Close Quarters Barrage Stratagems for 0 CP. Violent Acquisition is a 2 CP, so that would reduce it to 1 CP instead of 2. The other ones would become a true 0 CP. This is fine. 20 points. I don't feel like I would go out of my way to take this. It's just okay. If you have 20 points, it's something you could consider. The last one is a little bit better. Combat Landers for only 10 points, so we can put this on, I believe, like a Navigator or an Entourage, and this will give 3 Voidfarer units, giving them deep strike. So Breachers, Entourage, and Voidsman can gain deep strike. That's always very good, considering the your Voidsman unit is a 6 model unit. Now they got a free dog. These are like the regular kind of like space guys. They have a rotor cannon and they have a dog. Very kind of generic, like generic guardsmen. They're only 50 points, so these are in this army. Those are generally going to be your action monkeys. So having 10 points to get deep strike on 2 or 3 action monkeys is a pretty good deal. It's also possible to put like a Navigator into deep strike as a 60-point character. Ironically, that single Navigator is 10 more points than the Breacher squad, so I think you'd probably just go more towards not Breachers. Yeah, you would go more towards Voidsman. The Voidsman squad is 50, so just because of that cheap points, you go towards that. So you've got a good setup here. You've got some access to invuln saves from acquire at all costs. Able to improve your leadership to generally 6, I think, 6 or 5 if you're looking at some of the Space Marines or characters. Improving leadership, improving OC, adding invuln saves, getting +1 to hit, gaining infiltrate on infantry, and then gaining deep strike on Voidfarers. Honestly, all good things. Not really leaning into damage, probably leaning a little bit more into control, durability, and so on. But still decent and definitely reasonably good. Looking at the stratagems here, this is a pretty interesting. We've got 6 stratagems like normal. So what we're working with here is a little bit interesting because some of these I honestly think you just won't use. However, there is one extremely good stratagem here that I want to focus on: Displacer Field. In a way, Displacer Field is so good that you could say that the Imperialis fleet is like Displacer Field, the detachment. It really is that good, in my opinion. So you may ask, what is the Displacer Field? The fluff blurb says, these rare protective fields perform micro-teleport displacements to remove their bearers from harm. That sounds kind of overpowered. Well, the rule is even worded in a stronger way than the way it's described here. So when your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one Agents of the Imperium character from your army, excluding assassins, that was selected as a target of that unit's attacks, until the end of the phase, models in your unit have a 4-up invulnerable save. After the attacking unit has resolved its attacks, unless your unit is within engagement range, your unit can make a 6-inch normal move, and while doing so, models in the unit move as if they have fly. Yeah, and this is only 1 CP, and there's no real restriction on this. This actually triggers when your opponent targets your infantry unit. That's it. So it's actually not infantry, but character. So it does specify that you have to have an attached character, and that is a theme. That is a theme you'll see here with this detachment and this army in general. Is that you're going to have a lot of characters running around, and the character abilities in many ways are kind of like the carry that does all your damage in many ways and ties everything together for the army. So some of the prime targets for this are honestly any unit, any attached unit that has a character. So this would be like your Deathwatch veterans with a Watchmaster. It might be Kodz attached to a unit of Breachers. So Breachers gaining a 4-up invuln in response to shooting. It could be, I believe it could be Grey Knight. Yeah, it could be Grey Knight Terminators, provided they have an attached character like a Kodz or an Inquisitor, I think. So you've got lots of good options here. There's lots of. This is more of an infantry-based army, the vehicles are not great. So having these character units, attached character units, being able to reaction move is very, very strong. Looking at some of the other stratagems here, Violent Acquisition is your 2 CP damage dealing stratagem. This is shooting or fight phase. Just any one unit in your army, including assassins. Until the end of the phase, your unit gains sustained lance and ignores cover. So because this can work in either phase, you can't gain all three of these at once. So that means in combat you would be benefiting from sustained and lance on your unit, and then if you were to use it in shooting, you'd be benefiting from sustained and ignores cover. Either way, this is good. I think this is actually a little bit steep for 2 CP. I'm not really going to be going out of my way to use this. However, there's a common theme with the Imperial agents. You do have severe damage problems, and just having access to sustained lance and in some situations you might want the ignores cover. Probably not. You're more looking for the lance and the sustained, especially on your. This is what you're going to use on your Deathwatch vets. Damage is definitely needed. Another stratagem here. Masters of the Void. In your movement phase, you can target a Voidfarer's character unit. This is actually extremely restrictive. This could basically only target, I think, an entourage unit. I'd have to double check this, but I believe this can only really target an entourage. This would let the entourage unit or the Voidfarer's character. It could also be a navigator. I guess a navigator with attached to a unit as well. They can arrive from strategic reserves within your opponent's deployment zone. That's it. As we just looked at, there's ways to give them deep strike. So I don't know necessarily why you'd pay a CP to do this. This is probably just not good. I mean, if you have this is very, very situational. The only time I can think of where this would actually come into play would be if you had the strategic reserve units and they weren't already in deep strike, which they probably would be if you're playing this correctly, and then you drew a card such as turn one, such as like behind enemy lines, or scan the edge, deploy homers. This could the 1 CP would have let you do that. So that's a potential use. Very, very corner case scenario on that one. The next one is excellent. This is a damage dealing one as well. This is going to work extremely well in the breachers. So there's an innate combo with this where you take your breacher squad for 90 points, which are they're called Imperial Navy breachers. They have a bunch of special weapons. I think they have a melt-a-gun. They have melt-a-gun and shotguns. They basically stole weapons from Space Marines. We'll go over that data sheet soon here because it's really good. They're also OC2. They have a guy in there with a war gear. Basically, this breacher unit, this stratagem specifically will buff the breachers, and the breacher unit is extremely good. This is going to give them, when they shoot, they target a unit within 12 inches with a ranged attack in the shooting phase. The Voidfarer's unit will gain +1 strength and +1 AP on their ranged attacks. So this will affect the melt-a-gun. Interestingly enough, strength 10, AP 5. It'll affect they have these Star Days, essentially Star Days shotguns, becoming strength 5, AP 1, which is great. This is just generally very, very good. The effect also carries over onto the Rogue Trader entourage, which has very strong ranged weapons as well. So this is really good, and I think this is a little bit more spammable, maybe a little bit more usable than the combat one up here, the sustained and lance. But you do have access to essentially a combat stratagem, which is the sustained and lance, as well as a good shooting stratagem, which is this close quarters barrage. So this adds to the versatility and the variety of this army. This is not a combat army. This certainly leans into more being a close range shooting army, which is a weird place to be, but very good stratagem for a close quarters barrage. Looking at the last two here, unfortunately, we've got two more that are very situational, but surprisingly useful in the right situation, as long as you remember you have them. The first one is just 1 CP. Any unit of your army has advance and shoot, and fall back and shoot as well. So this is anything. There's no restriction on this. This is a assassin. This can work on a Vindicator assassin. This can work on a Rhino. This can work on a Deathwatch veteran squad. So you've got a good amount of variety here. This does not give you the ability to advance and charge, but fall back and shoot is situationally very good. The last one is very interesting. This is called Selfless Bodyguard. So this is one of these rules that they've been slowly kind of adding back into the game. This is actually a rule that on a 2-up, it lets you ignore precision. Shooting 1 CP shooting phase or fight phase after an enemy has selected its targets. Basically, your unit when your unit is allocated attacks with precision, you roll a dice. On a 2-up, you ignore the precision and the attack is allocated normally. So so on a 2-up per attack, you negate their precision. So it's interesting that it's not automatic and they make you roll per attack. It's a little bit crunchy and nuanced. It does feel bad that you could spend your CP and then roll a lot of ones and have your character die anyway. But what I think what this leans into, as far as the thematic or the fluff aspect of it, is that the Masters of the Void keys off of character, and especially the Displacer Field keys off of character. So if you're worried about getting shot and you want to keep using Displacer Field as often as possible, the character has to stay alive or else Displacer Field cannot be used. So what this would do is that if someone has access to precision, which is there's more and more in the game, it seems like with every book that they come out with, it seems like they're adding more. What this will allow is the ability to ignore precision in any phase for 1 CP means that you have also the opportunity to use your Displacer Field, which if I look at the timing here. So this is shooting phase or fight phase just after selecting targets. This is shooting phase just after they select targets. So what this would allow you to do is if you have 2 CP and you know your unit's about to get blasted, you could actually use both, which is pretty interesting. The bodyguard is probably a little bit overkill, but what this means is that if you let me see here. So the precision attacks are allocated on the wound roll, and then this would give a 4-up squad wide. So I think it's really more of an insurance package. So this would be because the Displacer Field is what you're always gonna press this first because it's better, and then the bodyguard would be if you're getting hit with some kind of crazy volume of fire, or maybe multiple units or multiple precision units in the shooting phase. Very, very corner case in the shooting phase. I like this a lot more in the fight phase, to be honest with you, because the characters are where your combat damage comes from. So the Selfless Bodyguard is going to be more applicable in the combat phase, I think, because specifically Displacer Field does nothing in the fight phase. So Selfless Bodyguard gives you a little bit of maybe against like your world leaders, your heroic challenge. This specifically counters the heroic challenge, 1 CP heroic challenge to try to kill out your characters. So very good. It's got essentially the counter stratagem here. All right, so I'm gonna pull up a little document here. So what are some of the strengths of this army? Make this a little bit bigger. All right, strengths. We have lots of infantry, and they have good OC values. Infantry, generally they're all OC2. They've got breachers, sisters, Deathwatch veterans. I believe are OC2. Let me double check. Yeah, breachers. Ooh. Yeah, the Deathwatch kill team is definitely OC2. The Sisters of Battle are OC2. This whole army is almost OC2, except for the assassins. So the cool thing about this is that you have a lot of access to OC3, and these Grey Knight Terminators can actually get up to OC4. If you factor in the acquire at all costs, where you pick one objective, it's just everything on that objective will get a flat +1 OC. So, and then these guys they're OC2 based on these Terminators, which is great. They get +1 from the banner, and then they can get another +1 from acquire at all costs. So that means just one Terminator can be OC4. That's extremely powerful. Flipping objectives, denying objectives. The subductors are, these are the cops with the shields. These are only OC1. The Exaction Squad, aka the Space Cops, these are only OC1 as well. The Vigilants are OC2, but these are not as good as Breachers. You probably won't really play these, to be honest. The Voidsmen, interestingly, these are 50 points. And I think what this means is that the dog is OC2, because you get a free Canid in here now. Yeah. Voidsman at Arms. Yes. Yeah, so the dog is actually OC2. So this is a lot of cheap, it's really cheap OC. These are not battle lines. So I think you always just take the 3. You take the 3x6 of these because they're just so cheap. And they've got weapons. They've got a 4-up save. OC2. They for some reason just get lethal hits when they shoot the closest eligible target. This combos with the stratagem that we just talked about for the additional AP and strength. Really interesting for a 50 point unit. The spacemen don't mess around. The Entourage is only OC1, but that's okay because they have squad wide 4-up invul and they're multi-win models. And then the Breachers. The Breachers are a 4-up OC2. They got all these crazy rules that we'll cover in a second here. Agents. And then basically all the characters themselves are OC1. So you had infantry all over the place. The reactive move from the Displacer Field, you can use that to get into a transport. So transports is another strength of this army. Your transports you have access to are Rhinos, Chimeras, and the Immolator. So the Chimera and the Immolator are good models, but they have a restriction. So the Immolator can only carry Sisters of Battle, and that's it. The Chimera can only carry Inquisitorial models. So that would be your Inquisitorial Agent unit, which is, it's okay. It's not great. It's not better than the other units, really. And it can carry just Inquisitors, stuff like that. So it's definitely restricted. The Rhino, however, carries everything except for the Grey Knights, and the Assassins. So the Rhino is extremely versatile. It's of course just 75 points, really cheap. So then the Rhino, it holds 12 models, of course, and it combos with the Displacer Field. When you move, similar to what you see in Space Marines Gladius, the normal move that you would make off of the Displacer Field will allow you to disembark into a Rhino or any other transport, provided that you can normally do so. So being able to jump back in the Rhino is always an extremely strong stratagem. It can lock out armies that would charge you, such as World Leaders or Blood Angels. It can really lock them out, shut them down. Very, very strong. Another strength of this army is the Assassins and the characters. You have a lot of good rules on your characters. The Assassins are all lone operatives. Some of them have access to fights first. The Episaur Assassin hits like a truck. You've got this army has a lot of bodies on the table. You've got cheap Voidsmen. The Rogue Trader Entourage is cheap. I'm trying to think. Even Deathwatch veterans aren't that much. The 10 Deathwatch vets are only 200 points, which is very reasonable for what you're getting. They have storm shields. They have frag cannons. And then the Breachers are only 90 points. You could also even take like your 12 Inquisitorial Retinue. 12 Retinue is only 100 points. So what does this really mean? I mean, you could take six Breachers would only run you 540 points. That's about a little more than a quarter of your army for 60 OC2 bodies that are basically like super duper guardsmen. Pretty reasonable. You've got good tricks in here. Looking at some of the data sheets, we'll get into some of the more tricks, some of the other tricks that this army has. So looking at some of the weaknesses now. Toughness 3. You have toughness 3 army wide. Your vehicles, honestly, they just suck. unless you're talking about a Rhino. The other vehicles in it, you're not going to take a Corvus Blackstar. It doesn't really do anything. Aircraft, aircraft just really aren't good. You're not really going to take multiple of anything except for maybe Rhinos, and there's no other access to other vehicles in here. There's no Land Raider, there's no Dreadnought, there's nothing like this. There's not even Inquisitor Karamazov, the like pseudo Dreadnought guy. He's gone. So your toughness values are, your T values are low. You almost have like a, you're anemic, almost like in like an Eldari sense of like you're overly reliant on T3. You have a lot of like 4-up armor saves, and then like the staying power is just not there. You could take something you could take to work around this would be to take Terminators. You can take 5 Grey Knight Terminators that have a 4-up invul and they're T5, 3 wounds each. But your damage, this kind of leads into the another problem with this army is that your damage values are generally very low. You're relying on assassins, precision, stuff like that. You're good at killing. A lot of your stuff is specialized at killing characters because you're taking 3 or 4 assassins. You don't really have where's your armor cracking coming from? You have a breacher. You have a 1 breacher with a multi-gun per squad, or you take knights as an ally. So it's low damage, low armor killing. This army will shred. I mean, you've got shotguns all over your whole army. It'll shred Eldari, right? Because you're just spamming strength 4. You've got strength 4 attacks for days across your whole army. But if you start looking at some Gravis, or looking at some, I mean, T7, T8, anything T6 or above is going to give you a really hard time with this army, and it's going to make you think, and you have to play a really tough game, and you have to use your OC. It leans, because what happens is when you have low damage, this is where this becomes kind of a big brain army, right? So your low damage means that the way that you could win a game, you go all the way back up to your strength. You have to play to your strengths, your infantry, your OC values. So you have a lot of OC2 base. You can send it to OC3, and then in some cases you have certain units that can be OC4. So having cheapo, like if you think about it, one breacher is only 9 points. Having 1 breacher at OC3 is far and above like what other armies have access to. It's like an Imperial Guard level of OC efficiency, if you look at it under those terms. So you're going to be, it's a weakness and a strength in certain cases because it's matchup dependent, but you're reliant on OC values to, I guess, to win games, or to play games competitively. You have to be cognizant of the OC values that your opponent has access to. If they have access to Battle Shock and so on, there's a lot of strategic considerations to make here. I would say the big ones here are the low damage, the OC, and the reliance on characters, and then the asymmetric aspect of being very reliant on characters, but then also being able to remove enemy characters. So it's actually very thematic in a sense, where it's like, well, this agent's army with all these assassins it's arrived, and it's attacking at every angle, and you've got all these voidsmen and breachers and so on from space, and they're arriving. They're gonna assassinate your characters, and then your army will be dismantled because they've lost their leadership, and they're it's hopeless. But in reality, Warhammer doesn't really play like that, and having low damage is just bad. What this leads into is that this is a challenging army to play. It is truly challenging. There's nothing easy about this army. I don't think it'll ever be easy. This is not a bandwagoner style army. So moving right on into some of the data sheets here. The Inquisitor, I'm not gonna cover all of these because there's a lot of stuff. The Inquisitor is honestly pretty bad. I don't have him included in my list. I'm gonna go right into talking about how I've designed my list and how that list is gonna play on the table. So let me go ahead and pull that up, and we'll get into that. Imperial agents. All right. All right, so on to page 2 here, and here's the list. Oops, that looks pretty bad. uh, all right, here we go. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. I'm in the process of acquiring these models. I have not yet put on the table, but the strategy when this finally hits the table, the strategy will be almost, I would say, 90% the same as what I'll explain here. I think that Kodz has a rule. I'll pull up his sheet really quick. So the stuff that I have on the, I guess, like sideboard right now would be the Navigator as well as Kodz. So Kodz is 75 and the Navigator is 60. The reason is because these characters are not, they're not integral to the game plan of this army. They give you a little extra, but they're not what's going to win you the game. And the rules are situational, I would say. So Kodz he's like a 2-up, 4-up. He's basically a space marine. He's got a power hammer at 933, so he hits very hard at strength 9. Very, very good. He can lead essentially any squad, I think. He has no real restrictions. He's like the ultimate sort of, I think he's Ordo Malleus. He's kind of like a Grey Knight Inquisitor sort of guy. He's like one of the classic characters. He has an eagle. His eagle ability is extremely good. It's probably the main reason that you'd bring him. He's good in combat. And he has an eagle. The eagle is, you pick in your shooting phase, you pick one unit with an 18, anywhere with an 18, no line of sight. That unit just loses cover. So range attacks made against that unit ignore cover. That's super good because you're essentially a shooting army. Kodz is good. The eagle is good. He's got good armor. And then his other ability is when your opponent uses an ability to gain a stratagem or to gain a command point, on a 2-up, you also gain a command point. This is the only source of CP generation you have in this army. It's called Spy Network. So this is only from the keep in mind, this is only from the result of an ability, which means a data sheet ability. So this does not work off of stratagems. This does not work off of whatever, discarding a card. It doesn't work off of that. It's only abilities. So this is like your Deathwatch character. I'm trying to think what else. This works off of Azrael. So interestingly, you'll get your CP when you go into Dark Angels, which is probably a horrendous matchup, honestly. You've got some good Psychic here too. So he's got his Nemesis Demon Hammer, which is cool. He can join basically just anything you want. Oh yeah, he can join the Grey Knights. That's cool. So joining the 5 Grey Knights, that will give them access to Displacer Field, which is nice. Because being able to reaction move your Terminators, I think 6 inches is really, really good. Have them flying Terminators is always a good time. So I quite like that. His Psychic Blast is very good. Anti-infantry 5 with Devastating Wounds. Anti-demon, so he Devastating Wounds demons on 4s, and it's D6. It's just D6. So 3-1-1, but anti. It's fine. He can throw out a few Dev Wounds. It's pretty par for the course. It gives his unit a 6-up invuln save, and then he likes to fight demons because he's basically a Grey Knight. So he's pretty decent. I definitely don't mind him at all. He's a solid inclusion in the list. The Navigator is a very interesting one. I'll pull up the nav. So this is the Navigator. The Navigator is basically it's kind of like from Dune, it's like the guy who flies the spaceship. Vital mission for their ship's Voidmaster. They perceive the shifting tides of the warp. So they're pretty cool. Toughness 3, of course. He's got like a pimp cane. Just has 2 abilities here. The first ability is Gaze into the Imperium. Enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 of this model. So it's only this guy who's on a 32 mil base, I think. It's not his unit, so it's not like Space Marine Infiltrators. Unfortunately, this guy costs 60 points for this ability, which is, it's not cheap. And he's also super squish. I mean, he's got a 4-up invuln, but only 3 wounds. He can really just get killed by a grenade like pretty quickly. And then he's got the third eye, so you can like at the start of the shooting phase, you can select an enemy unit within 12 invisible. They must make a battle shock test with a -2 of their infantry, and then if they're failed, they suffer 3 mortal wounds. So it's kind of cool that he can throw out battle shocks, but I dislike that it's only within 12 because I feel like I just don't want this guy within. He's so squished. I don't want him within 12 of anything, and he's pretty terrible at fighting. I mean, just not really not great. Throwing out battle shocks is decent though, and then also like just having him camping. Maybe he hangs out by himself, or he hangs out with some voidsmen, hanging out in your home objective. He unfortunately doesn't buff the squad in any way. Voidsman will give him lethals, which doesn't really matter because he's got a las pistol, and then breachers will give him some couple extra abilities for re-rolling wounds, but it's not really a damage guy. This is like a support guy. Because unfortunately, because this army lacks so much damage, I don't think you don't really like, you're not looking at this guy very much. You don't really want him because you need stuff that like actually does damage and kills vehicles more so. So I think, yeah, looking back at the list, I think we probably just take out the Navigator. So going into some of the stuff that we do have here, the Watchmaster plus the clandestine operation is 120. So it's 105 for the Watchmaster, for the clandestine operation. Let's see here. The Watchmaster joins with these Deathwatch veterans. I'll cover the assassins briefly because they're pretty good. So looking at the clandestine operation is what gives your guys infiltrate, and the Watchmaster himself is essentially unchanged. He's essentially a captain that he has like a lance spear. He's got a little bolter as well, and he gives pull it up here. There he is. Yeah, so this guy is virtually unchanged. He's like a space marine. He's a space marine captain with a 2-up. He's got a vigil spear. 6 actually is pretty good. Lance 6, strength 6, -2, D3 damage, pretty nice. He's got the this is really good. Strategic knowledge, excellent. While he's leading a unit, that unit is eligible to shoot and charge in a turn which it advanced or fell back. So this is the whole package. This is like your CSM chosen, sort of thing. This is really really good. He leads the Deathwatch kill team, which is your premier damage dealing unit. They've got heavy thunderhammers, which are strength 10. It's one of the only access to high strength weapons you have in the entire army. So you definitely take 4 thunderhammers per squad. You take 2 frag cannons and 2 Infernus heavy bolters, which is it's a hybrid profile, heavy bolter and heavy flamer together on the same guy. And then you've got your Xenophase blade with a shield, with a storm shield, and then another guy with a power weapon and a storm shield. So you've got your invuln saves in here. You've got your advance, fallback, shoot, and charge. And then when they're targeted with a stratagem, which they certainly will be because you're going to be hitting Displacer Field every time you can, the Displacer Field will cost 0 once per battle round. Extremely, extremely good. This guy is auto include. You definitely take 1. You might even take 2. He's really, really good. If you take 2 squads, I think there's a strong argument to take 2. So if we take a look at this, so I'll probably just add another Watchmaster in here. And the clandestine operation is the one that hands out the infiltrate. So you've also got the option of infiltrating your Watchmaster plus veteran squads. Your veterans are right here. We just talked about that. These guys are 200 per squad. These are Space Marines. They're OC2. They all have special weapons, and then they have reroll hits. They reroll ones natively, and then if they target you with an attack, and if you're an alien, like so if you're Xenos, if you're not Chaos or Imperium, they reroll all hits against you. Very, very strong. Looking at the Eversword now. Let's see. All right, the Assassins. Calidus is just as good as ever. She's still at 100 points. She gained an ability where now at the end of the fight phase, if she's still within engagement range of enemy units, she can fall back D6. And then if she's not within 3 or more 3 inches of an enemy unit, she can up be down, and she can teleport off the table. She is unchanged, and her points have not changed either. She's just extremely, extremely good. Eversor Assassin. So his damage just went through the ceiling. He can, so he has friends on for advance and charge. He has overkill. This is kind of like a so the Eversword now resembles a, there we go, what's the word for it? He's like a Harlequin now. He's a I think it's called Solitaire. He's basically a like super solitaire now because you can infiltrate him once per game, which he'll always just hit probably turn one. You hit the overkill. He moves 15 inches and he charges you off of infiltrate. So he's anywhere on the whole table. So he's killing exactly. So immediately when the game starts, if the agents go first, this Eversword assassin is killing exactly what you didn't want to lose. He's making, check this out. He's making 9 attacks, hitting on 2s, anti-infantry 3 with precision, and sustained 3. He does not have a way to reroll hits, unfortunately, but sustained 3 is fucking stupid. Strength 5, anti-infantry 3, damage, AP 2, 2 damage. Yeah, so this is just this is shredding. This is gonna kill Azrael. This is gonna kill whatever. You know, this is killing. It's killing that character that infantry character that you didn't want to lose. So right off the rip, Imperial agents are playing a very asymmetrical, almost unfair delivery of this Eversword assassin, hitting the friends on, and then of course when the Eversword dies, he actually has deadly demise 3, so he has the potential to do more damage on death. It used to be that he would like blast template in the old edition, so it's cool that they like kept that thematic fluff rule in there. He's got scout, and then he's got like a little executioner pistol that does. It's also sustain 3, which is kind of funny. So yeah, this guy just absolutely pops off and will truly eliminate whatever character he wants. The other 2 assassins, the Klexis is mostly the same. This is actually, the Klexis is the weakest of the 4. Unfortunately, she's I think 100 points, which is a little overcosted. But she did gain a 3-inch deep strike. The big thing with the Klexis assassin is she hates psychers, so specifically anti-psycher. Results may vary. It's very matchup dependent of how good that ability is. She did gain a 3-inch deep strike, which is nice. However, I think that the way that this will be run, because she's the cheaper one, it's easier to have her kind of on the sideboard. And the three that I have on my list are the Vindicator at 110, which gained a actually pretty overpowered ability as well. So you have the Vindicator, the Calidus for 100, and then the Eversword for 110 as well. This gives you the option of swapping out one of the assassins for the Klexis, but unfortunately, I don't really think that's a trade that you're willing to make based on how strong the other 3 are. Like S tier. The other 3 assassins, aside from the Klexis, are S tier support and damage. And honestly, the Klexis is more of a control piece, which you just don't really need. Still reasonable though, very good against psychers and reasonably good for causing battle shocks and showing up in annoying places. So definitely not bad. So the Vindicator is the sniper, the classic one-shot sniper, hitting on 2s, devastating wounds, precision, 48-inch range, blah blah blah. So this guy gained a super overpowered ability. So we were talking a little bit ago about how this army the Imperialis fleet can ignore precision and ignore the heroic challenge. This guy, you got to read this. Each time he makes a range attack, when selecting targets for that attack, you just ignore the lone operative ability. This is all the time. And then this guy himself is a lone operative with stealth. What? So this is the first time we've seen this rule. Additionally, once per game, you can fire the shield breaker round, the classic shield breaker round, until the end of the phase. Each time you shoot with the Exodus rifle, +1 to the wound roll, and any successful wound scores a critical wound. So if you're talking about shooting a Space Marine, you already wound on 2s at strength 8. If you're shooting maybe a T6 or a T7 model, I don't know exactly what that would be. Maybe like a crisis suit. You still wound on 2s, and then critical wound is the rule that triggers dev wounds, and this weapon has dev wounds. So that means as long as you're not a dummy and you shot something that was T7, if you shot at a target that's T7 or lower, you do an automatic 4 to 6 damage from dev wounds just to anything. So this is similar to what we just saw with the Eversword assassin. This Vindicator, if given line of sight to a character, will absolutely remove that character. And hilariously, most characters in the game are 4 wounds, which is his minimum damage value. So this guy is he's an auto include, should be in every single list, will cause your opponent to hide, maybe play a little bit more conservative, and their positional changes will allow you to set up your game plan and move in your OC, move in your Rhino, move in your Deathwatch veterans, your breachers, and set up a very strong board control game plan. Very, very strong. So those are our 3 assassins as well as our Deathwatch vets. We've already talked about the Voidsmen. They're in here for point scoring and value. Another fabulous OC2 unit, and really, really cheap to field. And then we've got our breachers and our entourage. So I'm really, really excited about these breachers. So I'm gonna go over that next. Let's see. I'm gonna do a recalculation here just to see how many points we come up with. Busting out the old calculadora. So it's 1940 before Kodz. We've got 60 left. So maybe the way we'd run this is we just cut Kodz and get a Navigator. Solo Navigator is actually pretty good. I think that's pretty reasonable. I like having Kodz though. Kodz is like certainly stronger than a Navigator. So we'll see. I'm just gonna put this. This is a little bit flexible. I haven't decided yet if I want Kodz or the Navigator. I'll probably try both and see which one I like more. They both have their merits, but the Navigator would bring the list to exactly 2,000. All right. So let's look at these breachers, and then we'll get into the end of the video here. Here's some of the points. All right. So the Imperial Navy breachers, these are probably my favorite. Aside from the assassins that we just talked about, these are just phenomenal. So these are essentially guardsmen, 4-up save, 2-up OC. These are 90 points. So looking at some of the war gear is good, and then the abilities are even better. This is looking at the keywords. They have smoke. Oh, they have all the keywords too. They're Voidfarers. I actually can't see you because it's cut off, but they're battle line, grenades, smoke. What? They're Voidfarers. They have all the good keywords. You can have 6 squads of these. They can have this unit has hilariously. I'm just gonna read this description because this shit's hilarious. Experienced in boarding actions. These elite armsmen are blunt instruments of their warship's commander. They wear enclosed void armor and wield weapons optimized for close confines, while some carry more specialized gear for cracking enemy bulkheads. Some squads are accompanied by swift, explosive skimming Geist skulls or cat units that can scan the battlefield ahead. It honestly sounds pretty overpowered. And yeah. We've got a demo charge, which is stolen from Gene Stealer Cult. Only 1 shot, but LOL. It's got a Meltagun, which is a straight up Space Marine Meltagun that hits on 4s. It's got a heavy shotgun, which is just a shotgun with 4 shots instead of 2. So it's 2 shotguns strapped together. What? And then they've just got their regular weaponry is just a Space Marine shotgun. Only range 12, but who cares? You can also take a plasma gun, which is whatever. They have melee weapons too. They have a guy with a chain fist, which it's 1 attack hitting on 5, 622. He's not as good as a Space Marine, but still 622 on a 9-point model. And anti-vehicle 3, which like you desperately need, which is just really funny that they have a chain fist. Like they're cutting through your tank, like they're cutting through your Land Raider, winning it on 3s, then give them the Lance Strat or something, winning on 2s. They got a power weapon, which is just what you'd expect, and the chainsword is just really bad. And they have a volley gun as well, which is not so great. But then their abilities, so they always have a guy with a shield. So they have a 4-up invuln built in, which is great. So here we go. They have 3 additional abilities here, and each one of these is just really, really good. So just how we were talking, the demo charges stolen from the Gene Stealer cult. The breaching team rule here is stolen from Thousand Suns. This is the ability that Rubric Marines have. It's exactly just copy. It's copy pasta Rubric Marines. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll, wound roll, one. So you're fixing all the damage problems I've been talking about. If the target is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll instead. So I think this is actually even better than Rubric Marines because the rubric specify it has to be an objective that you don't control. So this is just it's any objective. So it can even be one that you control. So this is rubrics plus. This is shooting and combat. The chain fist, the demo charge, whatever doesn't matter to shotguns especially. The next one, the Geist Skull. This is making a fundamental change to how the grenade stratagem works. So grenade stratagem is really good, excellent damage that you will really rely on with this army because you have low damage. Normally it's range 8. The Geist Skull is once per battle when you throw the grenade. It's range 18, so it's plus 10 on the grenade. That's insane. So you can't, unfortunately, you can't use this multiple times like we saw in the past with the Death Guard and so on. But 18 on the grenade is wild. You can blow up characters, blow up stuff that tried to run away. You can just get damage on vehicles turn 1. You can pop off. Very strong. The last one is good as well. Cat unit with a cat scan. Once per battle, when this unit is selected to shoot until the end of the phase, range weapons equipped by models of the unit gain ignores cover. So this is just another very good rule. This unit is only 90 points, so you get all of that. Everything is good, very cohesive, good war gear, excellent stratagems. Breaching team is probably one of the best rules in this whole book. OC 2, armor 4, move 6, smoke keyword, grenade keyword, blah blah blah. This is everything you want. This is the whole package. The reason this gets even stronger in Imperialis fleet is you have the acquire at all costs, which is buffing you up, bringing you to leadership 6 now, and a couple other giving the invuln save. You've got the rogue trader entourage. So this is essentially a character unit. The rogue trader is a character, Voidfarer's unit. This unit can join the breachers or the voidsmen. So specifically, you're going to join them with the breachers, giving them the reroll wounds ability. This can give one of these units can get the infiltrator's ability for free. So that combos with the infiltrator's infantry we were gaining from the enhancement. And then you get the healing serum. So in your command phase, you return D3 destroyed models to the unit. You're essentially returning either OC1 models from this squad. So you've got these are all individual models here. It's only one character on the rogue trader. These guys actually have weapons. So they all have invulns. They're T3. You got 10 wounds at a 4-up invuln. 75 points for 4 models. It joins the breacher squad, making it a 14 model unit, which is a weird number, but really good. You've got some of the weaponry here. So the rogue trader has a basically a pimp cane, which is a space marine chainsword with 4 attacks. So just like a scout sergeant, which is not bad. He's also got the voltaic pistol, or no, the household pistol. So he's got a 2-shot 5.22 pistol with dev wounds. That's great. You're gonna reroll wounds because of the breacher ability. You've got your Death Call Assassin in here. He's got a dart mask, precision anti-infantry 2, 1 attack, D3 damage. He's got the power blade, which is like a 5 attack power sword hitting on 2s. And then you've got a guy with a electro pistol, which is sustain 2, 4, 2, 1. And the rejuvenator guy is pretty good. You bring back D3 models every command phase. This is not once per game. So it's every command phase you bring back breachers into the squad. So if they don't, so the breacher, it's 10 wounds on the breachers plus another 10. So it's 20 wounds. If they don't kill this breacher squad, you're just going to start bringing guys back. And you can actually bring back, you take the saves on the 4-up. So basically you take the saves on the Death Call Assassin and the these two guys. You take the saves on the Death Call Assassin and the Electromeister, which is a really actually funny name. And then those 2 idiots die. And then if they don't kill your breacher squad, which they probably don't because it's 20 wounds, you just bring back those 2 idiots. And then they just get their full activation and they steal objectives or do whatever. They're just really good. Yeah, this unit is the shit. This is really cool. They're only 75 points, so you definitely take 2 breachers and 2 entourages because you just want. You could probably even take 3. That's only another it's like 165 for that full package. Super cheap. You could probably just. I mean, we could probably make another 165 in here. Probably just like drop a warglaive and take more of those guys, honestly. So I've got a rhino for one of my veteran squads to ride in. And then we're going to infiltrate the other one. The rhino is really good. Obviously combos with the displacer field. And then the last thing is the armature warglaive. Um, I don't have the datasheet for the warglaive, but the warglaive is basically it's Imperial and it leans into this really well, and it basically does everything you want. And I'll explain why. I've heard people saying like, "Oh, you can't play this without Canis Rex." I disagree. I think Canis Rex takes up a lot of space, and he has maybe a little bit of a limited threat vector because of how big he is, and I think he's maybe occupying the same space that you want your rhino in or your other models in. Unfortunately, I think what the warglaives do is they have a higher OC value. They're OC 8, so I need to pull up this. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that the armature warglaive is like one of the best things that you can take in this army. So I wanna cover that. Okay, here it is. All right. So keep in mind, this is an army you have infiltrating deep strike. You have assassins that are hitting them turn 1. This guy moves 12. He's a tank. He's a tank that shoots and fights. He's got AP4. He's got AP4 and AP3, strength 10. He hits like a truck. He gets sustained on the charge. This guy can shoot you turn 1, charge you turn 1. He puts on the pressure, and he leans into the theme of this detachment as well, which is OC. This guy just by himself is OC 8, so he really makes. He solves the issue you have where you can't crack armor. This guy is basically a super tank that kills other tanks. He's only 150, which is very reasonable. There's nothing else that competes with this guy. For this amount of damage, the ability to bring this OC, this durability, the board control, just everything about it. You can play. This lets you play wide, and the issue with playing wide is you show up on the flanks and you're too weak and they kill your infantry, and then you don't have a flank anymore, and then you lose because your flanks have crumpled. So this guy, what he does is he does huge damage. He can hit them right away, and he creates a consistent flanking attack and flanking maneuver. Very very good. I like this much more than Canis Rex. I recommend probably, I think 2 or 3 of these is ideal. I think that right now, just conceptually, we're at the end of the video. I'm leaning more on 2. So hypothetically, if we ran, let me make a little alteration to the list here. So if we ran 2 of them, the max you can run is 3 because it's restricted. But let's say that we ran 2, we could add in a 3rd breacher, which I really like, and a 3rd entourage. That'll bring us to 270, 150, and then we were down. I think we were down 15 points. So I think with the Navigator, that would mean we're 15 points over. Maybe we drop a Voidsman, and then we've got 35. So we add Kodz, and then we can add 20 points. So Kodz, 2 Voidsmen for 100. I think I did the math right here. And then we've got 20 to work with. We can probably just add that. We can add that. What's it called? That enhancement. That'll be. I'll say that's the final version of the list. That seems pretty good. Here it is. You add the Fleet Master to. It lets you go 0 CP on the. Oh yeah, this is great. So violent acquisition. This is a rules interaction here. So violent acquisition is the 2 CP stratagem. Let's see. Yeah. So the way this works now is normally you can only reduce it by 1, but because this specifically says violent acquisition, it's a true 0 because it's called out by name. So we're gonna add in Fleet Master for 20 on one of these entourages, and that should be a flat 2,000 points for the Imperialis fleet. Master. All right, and that's the list, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that this gives you a good depth of knowledge into the strategy that I'm going to take when I get this list together. It will take me a while to build 30 breachers, but I'm confident in the strength of the breachers, and honestly, the models are just awesome, straight out of the game boarding action. I'm actually looking at we had spoilers come out for the Blood Angels this week. So moving into the future, we've got a couple of events coming up in Florida, like Crucible. We've also got the Blood Angels. Blood Angels are fully spoiled, and that's going to be coming out in a few weeks. And kind of like a pre-order box is going to be in about 2 weeks. So it's really absolutely fantastic time to play Warhammer, and I hope you guys have a fabulous night.